So everything that went on, this is another thing that before we get to all this stuff, that's it. There's a lot of backstory to a lot of this. There was a very talent development was 4 people, the actual people in talent development. Then there was all the people at the PC who everybody has knew. I mean, a huge amount of responsibility with every talent that walks in the door. And everybody
Who were
that
the four
you've got,
people? Who were the four
right.
people?
So you've got my eventually started off differently, but very quickly Canyon Seaman, who was an incredibly good man. He was brought on board by Triple H. H said to me, "Can you take care of Canyon?" And so I said, because he knew that I have a certain thing in wrestling, because I've been around a long time, and I'm a, I get on well with people, and I know a lot of people, more so than probably a lot of people know, or I know somebody who knows somebody. But whatever it is, I can usually deal with people, but I'm also not a BS merchant, right? Take this however you want to take it. This is one of the reasons as well that Triple H asked me to do this thing with him. I will never say yes if I think the answer is no. You can take that however you want it, because that goes a long way with me, and it also goes a long way, right? And he knows that I will say no. I'm not going to yes him in any way if I think it's not the right decision. But he also knows that that's why he asked me to look after Canyon. And I said to Canyon on day one, I got on with him, but I said, look, you take care of all. I don't need to know any of the other nonsense as far as and I don't mean it's nonsense, but as far as contracts, all the stuff that you have to go through to get into WWE. If you and the people who work for you take care of that, I will find the wrestlers and take care of that. So, and he takes care of the athletes and gets the athletes, and there was Gerald Briscoe and JR was part of that at the time, and numerous other people. But they're people that were all, Gerald takes care of the amateur wrestlers, but that's a major undertaking to get relationships, and he does all that. Then JR was doing stuff. There was all kinds of people doing stuff with athletes and making recommendations. There's a lot of people making recommendations for wrestlers, but that was sort of what I was doing all of. But also that Canyon didn't get taken for a ride by anybody, because
it's a wrestling business.
So wrestling business, right? Yeah. So I would just anything to do with that, just run it by me, please. And he did, and he never got that's me and him worked great together. So that there was times when I wasn't around for different reasons, different surgeries, different whatever, and certain times, but most of the time I was involved in a lot of that. So there's periods over time when I wasn't, for health reasons, but majority of the time I was. There was Canyon Seaman, there was Kristen Altman, who is Wonder Woman and does an absolutely unbelievable job. And then in my time there was Paul Fair, who's Canyon's assistant, and Camille Levin. She took Paul Fair's where he left to go and work somewhere else. So we had an incredibly small team. Then you've got everybody at the PC, and they all know who they are, and they all know how much. None of us, we all had to work together. There's no sort of group. I'm just saying that the actual core group of talent who were called talent development, which is the biggest part of WWE, but one of the smallest groups. And right. On top of all of doing NXT and trying to find new superstars for people, we were getting a lot of requests for a lot of things, because it was all about selling network subscriptions. And happy to do it. And every tryout, after every tryout, we don't have room for that person now, but they might be good for if we need NXT UK, or
Sure.
we might have another cruiserweight tournament. So I kept lists of everything, and talent development kept lists, and also they might be good for this, they might be good for that. A character or somebody who was a really good talker but didn't quite have any kind of physical skill or wrestling skill. Oh, they might be good for this role, because we could have. What another part of my job was, you're a casting director, or Canyon was. You could get you. We don't know if we're going to get a call. Not that we did that much, but you never know. Everything was, let's just get it all in place in case. That was always our attitude. Whether anybody, the connection between people in creative knew that, if they could have called us and said, right, we need somebody to do this role, I guarantee we could have found somebody. We'd have had somebody on our books, because that's what we did from day one, was put people into category, or that's why I could pull that cruiserweight thing off. And when I say I mean all of us, not just me, but a lot of the times it was wrestlers I was dealing with.
Because you not only were recruiting people, you had lists of people ready to go.
So last summer I went
in all categories.
at any moment, and for when the right time was there.